are taping this right now, it's tied 100-100.
I mean, Ohio is playing out of their minds. I mean, credit to Ohio. Like, also credit to Miami, Ohio. They're losing this game 9 times out of 10. 100. Like, I mean, wow, what a game!
I mean,
it feels like Miami of Ohio has been in 7 games like this.
That's what I was going to say.
Like, it feels like every time I watch them, something insane happens at the end. Like, and it's just, I don't know if it's because they're getting every team's best shot. I don't know if it's because the MAC is maybe better than the numbers tell us what it is.
Guys shooting under 31% have hit 11 threes for Ohio today. And Miami's still in the mix. You're losing on a night like if that happens anywhere else. I promise.
Yep.
The last time Miami of Ohio won on the road at Ohio, they needed triple overtime to do it. They've lost 14 straight road games at Ohio. So keep that in mind as we watch this 5-minute overtime here, tied 100-100. Let's go back to the Prudential Center, number 18, St. John's on the road at the Hall. Final score 72, St. John's 65, Seton Hall. Big East regular season crown still in the balance up until that point. So St. John's clinches at least a share of it. UConn can do the same with a win at Marquette tomorrow. But look, that was kind of a must win for Seton Hall on the outside looking in at the NCAA tournament. That was a gotta have it game. They didn't have it. St. John's, this was close though towards the end. A couple of balanced scoring. Zuby Ejiofor, another great night, 21 points, went 8 for 12 from the field. Had some foul trouble, which limited him a little bit in this game. But Rob, thoughts on this one of the Big East as St. John's wraps up at least a share of the Big East regular season title?
Seton Hall had one job, Sam. They had one job.
Had one.
Was to beat St. John's. They had one job so you could beat St. John's so UConn can win the outright Big East championship, and they couldn't get it done for us. That's all we needed. We needed Dagan Hughes' alma mater to come up with one win in a big moment, and they couldn't find a way to get it done. No, I was really, really hoping that Seton Hall found a way to make it into the tournament because, one, I like Shah, and two, I think that they are a team that is going to give somebody problems because of the way that they can defend. And when you get to the tournament and you're down a little bit and you're going up against a team like that, and like the lemon booty hits, right, and you start puckering a little bit, you start getting nervous, and you got to deal with this press. Like, you could pick off an upset that way if you're Seton Hall. So I was hoping they would get there, but this St. John's team, they've done the job that Rick Pitino has done, flipping this team from one where like they couldn't guard anybody. I don't think, Sam, if they rolled me, you, and Henson out there, I don't know. I think we probably could have put up at least 85 on St. John's at the start of the season, and they've turned into better defensive teams in college basketball. And Henson, we've talked about this before, but I think a large part of that is your boy Dylan Mitchell and kind of the impact that he has. He said that you're the best coach that he's ever had. I asked him who was a better coach, John Henson or Rick Pitino.
Yeah.
He said you. So
I was more like the GM. They were just tapping my pockets and I was overseeing the process. So I appreciate that about Dylan.
I thought you'd be drawing X's and O's up though, Henson.
Nah, man, I was in the stands, man, just, overseeing seeing the kids, making sure everything is good.
Well, I think, look, a lot of people had a lot of high hopes on St. John's at the start of the year, and then they hit that speed bump pretty much out of the gate. But you look at some of the metrics down the stretch of the season, whatever computer you look at, St. John's has played like one of the best teams in the country. It sets up too, Rob. We'll see what happens tomorrow. That's a don't step on a rake kind of game for UConn there out at Marquette, but sets up for an awesome Big East tournament at the Garden next week.
Yeah, I think as long as Creighton wins, then it's going to end up being St. John's as the 1 seed. And I think being the 1 seed and being able to play the early games and not have to deal with you get the extra rest when you play the early games, and you don't have to deal with Villanova potentially in the semifinals is a little bit of a boost. But I'm really just hoping we get another UConn St. John's game in the Garden on that Saturday night under the lights. So that'll be a good one. I will say that Zuby Ejiofor, I don't think he gets anywhere near enough credit nationally for just how good he is and just how tough he is and just how well-rounded he is. And the fact that they have Zuby and Dylan, like one of the ways that you can kind of counteract the fact that you don't have a lot of spacing is to have bigs that can pass, because when you have bigs that can pass, it forces you to come out and put pressure on the ball. And the knock on the St. John's team is that they're not a great three-point shooting team, and they only got a couple guys that you really got to run off the three-point line. And when you have Zuby Ejiofor and Dylan Mitchell out there being able to pass from the perimeter and make plays like that, I think it does change a lot for them. I still think the ceiling of this group is Ian Jackson. When he played like he did against Villanova, right? Like he was making steals and he was getting to the basket and he was a pest defensively and he was taking good shots, then I think that the St. John's team has a real ceiling. He played 2 minutes tonight. Talk about a 5-star kid that we thought was going to be a lottery pick at the last season. That's they need him to be better.
And some thoughts on the St. John's team here as of late. I mean, Rick Pitino too, doing the job that he has done there with what they do have. It's an impressive job. It really is.
Yeah, and handling adversity, right? Like just going through the season, people are kind of down on them, winning 16 out of the last 17. I mean, if anybody's playing better in the country, feel free to name them. So going into the Big East tournament, if they can make a run there, I mean, this is a team you definitely don't want to see. So
No.
Credit to St. John's figuring it out, obviously with Dylan Mitchell and Ejiofor down there. Dylan Mitchell kind of becoming that like utility guy. We don't talk about him either. He was projected to be a top 5 guy coming into school at Texas. So for him to continue to figure it out and try to find his niche in college basketball, he's a junior. He's got another year left. I mean, I think if St. John's doesn't keep him, man, he's going to be coveted as well again.
Well, you know what it is too about him.
Yeah.
And I don't have the fielding the 68 bracket in front of me, Dagan. So if you know where St. John's is seated, but when you look at the best teams in they're 6 seed. So when you look at the best teams in the sport, right, they all got threes that are massive. Michigan plays Yaxel and Morris Johnson and Adai Mara for a lot of minutes, right? Florida's got Tommy Hawk. He plays the 3. You look at Arizona and Ivan Karchenkov is at the 3, and they're big and they're physical and they're strong. And you look at Duke and you got Dame Sarr, who's 6'8". Well, Dylan Mitchell's like, he's not going to be outsized and out athletic by anybody in college basketball. And I think his presence allows them to match up with any front line in the sport, which makes them a team that, you get to that Sweet 16, you get to that Elite 8, and you got to go deal with one of these big boys and one of these juggernauts. They got a team that can match up with them. And I think that is that's how you make a run, right? It's styles make fights. Well, they can play the style that will allow you to win a fight against one of those big guys.
The style that the Ohio Bobcats are playing with right now is